Okay, we're live. A little bit late, but we're live. And no countdown because we're live and we're a little bit late. But we'll give it a minute or so just for people to get themselves sorted. If you've gotten a notification, that's because you're a subscriber. And for that, we always appreciate your support, your subscription to the channel. And of course, any likes that you give to the video. Thank you very much indeed to that as well. But like I say, I can appreciate there's going to be one or two people kind of absent on this one because it's a Tuesday and it's not a Sunday. It's not our regular show, and it's a little bit out of the blue. I did put a little bit of a tweet out yesterday saying that we were going to be live today, but I shall explain more when we go live on the show. We've got a couple of people who are joining us, so what we'll do is we'll crack on in about 60 seconds or so. But if you are joining us, say ho, say hi, and jump in on the comments. Let us know what you're up to. Tell us if you're avoiding the rain here in the UK, because it is coming down in buckets up here in Yorkshire. It's absolutely soaking. But safe to say, we're making up for a very bright and very exciting weekend, which we're going to talk about in a second. Yes, I think I know what Andrew Dickinson's talking about. We'll talk about that in a second. Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Slightly different situation and setup to where I would usually be. Usually I'd be downstairs and out of the way. But as it happens, I've got the bedroom to myself. So, the shelf of distinction. You've got Elsa Charretier there. You've got Liam Sharp there. You've got Barry Windsor-Smith, of course, nominated for an Eisner. We've got a couple of Eisner nominations up there. The Essential Guide to Comic Book Lettering, which I think should have been nominated for an Eisner. But yes, some rather, that's my big books and a couple of Funkos as well. But I'm just out of the way. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to do this up here instead of wandering down and getting set up and doing this now. So hello there. Welcome along. Let's have a look at, the comment that's coming from Andrew Dickinson. It's Hampton Inn for me. He's telling you about where he's booked for an event that was announced very late or very early on Sunday night, Monday morning. We'll talk about that very shortly indeed. But let's get one or two bits and pieces out of the way. Certainly when it comes to San Diego Comic Con, because, well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is 50 days to go. We're talking, it's barreling on a pace, isn't it? So we're definitely looking at preparations. People are starting to get their accommodation into place. With if you've been taking part in the hotel sale, hopefully you've got your bits and pieces all sorted out for that. Yes, when it comes to the Eisners, Andrew Dickinson's also mentioning about that. Yes, I caught the Obi-Wan Kenobi review show as well. Kevin Smith's thinking Mark Bernardin is a shoo-in for the Eisner. Well, he's bound to say that, isn't it? He's his friend. It's his colleague. It's his podcast buddy. And to be fair, as nominations go, it's particularly strong. But that category is very loaded. We talked about the Eisners on the last show when we were able to do this, and the category, all of the categories are staggeringly strong. So anyone who's got to vote for those Eisner Awards this year has got a devil of a job on their hands. But no, incredible nominations up for grabs. Sarita P says hello. Hi, Sarita. Welcome along. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. So yes, we are talking about a couple of things today. And we'll get into our first thing. Let's cover some Comic-Con news. If I can just bring it up, I'm certain I had that in a window because the one thing that we weren't able to do. Well, okay, let's do it in order, shall we? Actually, cover some important facts. At the end of the day, it's Tuesday. We're not doing this on Sunday. Why did I not do a show on Sunday? Well, at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening, I was still driving home from LAWLESS COMIC CON in Bristol at the DoubleTree. Still quite tired about that, actually. I'm also going to be a little bit spacey today as well, because I'm also on some very impressive pain meds as I pulled my back on Thursday. So I'm a little bit sore and aching, which meant it was a very surreal LAWLESS COMIC CON, which I took part in. So we're going to do a bit of a review of LAWLESS COMIC CON in a minute. But let's cover the news that came out of San Diego Comic Con then. And this is, of course, the Eisners again. The special guests announced it each and every week. We're waiting on today or this week's special guests to be announced. Those will be imminent, so we should be having those shortly, if not now. So you never know if they go live between when we go up on the air. We'll let you know. But let's cover the special guests as is, because the ones that got announced, this was a week last Monday, are particularly strong. Again, some fantastic names. One or two of your usual suspects. We got Jim Benton, author behind Catwad, Dear Dumb Diary, Franny S. Stein, It's Happy Bunny. It's Happy Bunny is excellent. Attack of the Stuff, and also Comet the Busted Up Reindeer coming soon, and also Ernst Fan as well, coming from DC. He's a nominated awards writer and author, and he's just an incredible humorist. And yeah, it's going to be great to have him on several literary panels. Yes, here's your regular occurrences. You've got the Hernandez brothers, both mainstays when it comes to San Diego Comic Con. And if you have not picked up Love and Rockets, then, well, frankly, you really need to be reassessing your life, because they're just established when it comes to the comic art form. 40 years those books have been going out, and between the pair of them, they really have just been doing incredible work. Hall of Famers, of course. The pair of them were inducted in one go into the Eisner's Hall of Fame. Gilbert and Jamie Hernandez are just comic legends, as is Kevin Mcguire. Oh, I could do this. Hang on a second, without the laptop falling over. Can I reach over? Because I've been doing a bit of a reread. Oh, here we are. Look at that little lot. Yeah, I've been doing a bit of a reread. I've got myself. I don't know if you can see that. Let me just change my thing. Justice League. Yes, that's one of my collections of, because this is possibly my favorite comic of all time. And Kevin Mcguire was the artist of this. We got Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis, of course, putting together this legendary comic, and it's just one of my all-time favorites. But no, Kevin Mcguire is an amazing comics artist. His renderings have always got so much dynamism to them, and he's also just really good fun, especially when you follow him on social media as well. Good guy, and good to have him returning to San Diego Comic Con. Mariko Tamaki, who's a writer of much note, and award-winning, just a very celebrated creator of comics and literature, as is, last but not least, Raina Telgemeier. She's an author and illustrator, number one New York Times bestseller as well, and again, Eisner Award winner, and just and all of them just incredibly award laden, and just very celebrated in terms of what they've done and created over their careers. So an amazing bunch of creators, like I say, we are waiting on the next bunch of announcements to come out of San Diego Comic Con, and I'm fully expecting an announcement probably as we go on air, while we're on air. So we'll see how that goes. But those are the latest special guests. Expect wave number 5 imminently. So that's going to happen shortly. Let's see if we've got comments. Ikama Savage, Eeg Pain Meds, yes. Cocodamol. What else am I on? Naproxen. Lanzaprazole for the damage it does to the guts. And it's not fun. Not fun at all. Could barely move on Thursday and Friday. It was absolutely horrific. How on earth I got down to Bristol is beyond me, but I did it. There we go. Into the Blue, Mr. Unexpected midweek episode. Splendid indeed. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And as always, like, subscribe, do let us know what you think of the show. And like I say, it's just something to kind of fill in the gap for me not doing the show on Sunday. But let's go with that then. Let's dive into the reason why I wasn't able to do a show on Sunday, which was, of course, Lawless Comic Con, which, safe to say, was a lot of fun. This was something I was invited to. I was invited by Ben Cullis, who's the publisher and one of the partners behind the 77 comic, which I hosted a panel for, and there was a number of in fact, let me just see if I can just bring these up, because this was fun. I was able to be I was basically invited along to host this panel, but as a part of that, and as an offshoot of that, I got myself another panel on the Sunday. I wasn't able to make both days. I was unfortunately unable to make the Saturday, mostly because of my back. But then when I went down and I did the Sunday, I tried to squeeze in as much as I possibly could. And because of the Sunday, I was able to, like I say, not only host this incredible panel with over the 77 now, which I was invited to do. That's Ben Cullis there on the left, or on my right. On my left, your right. Oh, he's there next to me. And you've got Andrew Sawyers there, who's an artist. You have the legend, which is Lou Stringer, and you have the utter legend, which is Steve McManus right there. Both, Steve McManus, formerly of 2000 AD, of course. Lou Stringer of Oink fame and British comics and Beano, and I think he's done Beano as well. Basically, you've got yourself a lineup of very great vintage creators there. Andrew Sawyers is probably the newbie on the block, but what the 77 is aiming to achieve, and it's right there in the title, is to create a throwback to the kids, those comics that we enjoyed as kids. It says on the back of the 77 annual. In fact, have I got the 77 annual up here? Yes, I do. Bear with me. Because this is something I kind of I supported on Kickstarter, and was able to kind of showcase on the on the panel as well, the fact that I supported it, which is, it says there right on the back of it. Oh, number one, there's the cover, 77 annual number 1, and it says on the back, a love letter to the comics that made us. Speaks volumes. The artwork inside, the layout is very reticent of battle, of Beano, Dandy, old school 2000 AD, Future Shocks. It's a real retro vibe to the whole thing. Into the Blue, Mr. Lovely to bump into you on Sunday. Really enjoyed Lawless. Perfect size con for me, large enough to for some big names, and small enough not to have crazy queues. Absolutely, and that's what I'm going to kind of lead into. Like I say, Lawless had a real. I'm sorry, we'll cover 77 first. 77 then. I hosted their panel, and I wanted it to be a showcase of the 77 as a publication, and indeed as a run of books, because they've also started to put out other publications as well, including a female-led creation called Pandora. They're putting out other titles under the 77 kind of banner. And I wanted to cover in the panel not only the approach that the 77 and the team was bringing to their books, but also to find out if it wasn't just some kind of nostalgia filled, so like rose tinted glasses kind of thing. That sense of, okay, I mean, as a DJ, as a music lover, if anyone gets this reference, there's always those the people that kind of say, okay, everything after Oasis and Blur, music's shite. You know what I mean? That kind of sense of throwing the baby out with the bathwater and discounting everything that's been brought out today by new and contemporary artists because their taste, or they feel they're being left behind. Andrew said on the panel he felt that he had reached a period of the early 90s, late 80s, certainly when he was reading the very early days of, say, Image Comics, that he felt something had been left behind, that he had been marginalized in what he got out of his comics as a kid. And the 77 was a way for him to celebrate those books that he grew up on. And indeed, Steve McManus and Lou Stringers talked about that kind of the vibe of those books that they enjoyed as kids and when they were growing up. And also the fact that this gave them an opportunity to bring the characters and stories that they wanted to tell, and this was a platform to do so under the banner of the 77. Interesting panel. I have recorded it, and hopefully I'm going to get that up online at some point. Dan Berry's watching, and I know for a fact he's going to give me grief because I also haven't had the panels up for Andrew. I'm going to cover that. The other show, so WonderCon, I haven't got any of those panels up. I haven't got any. Look, there's stuff that I haven't done, and it's starting to weigh on me that I haven't been able to put all this stuff together. There you go, San Diego Comic Fest, WonderCon, Emerald City. I've got all of this stuff that we've got to get posted, and I haven't had the chance, and hopefully I'll get the chance shortly. I know that I've got Thursday off, so I'm going to I'll crack on with something then. I will make sure that Lawless goes beneath San Diego Comic Fest and WonderCon. Okay, well, I'll get that up first before I get the Lawless stuff up. But I recorded 3 panels. Like I say, one that I recorded, which was the 77. The other, now let's see if I can do this without kind of so like skipping too much into some other. Oh yeah, I also got some other stuff signed as well. But this should give you a clue of the other person I managed to speak to, which was Brian Bolland, right there. Let's see if I can. Oh, that's something else I'm going to get into in a minute. But there we go. It's another picture. There we go. So, like I say, I was invited to host the 77 panel. At which point, Sue Hadrell, who's the organizer of the show, said, "Well, if you're there, do you want to host any more panels?" And I said, "I'm yours. If you want me to host a panel, I will gladly do so." At which point she said, "Well, I'll tell you what, we got Brian Bolland, who's going to be showing up. Do you want to host his panel? Do I want to spend 45 minutes in the company of Brian Bolland talking about Brian Bolland?" Yes, I do. The man's a legend. I have been a fan ever since his days of Zerk, for Warrior, some of his 2008 stuff, of course, The Killing Joke, his covers over the years. The man's a legend. And it's great that he's actually coming back out into the world and kind of seeing fans and friends out at conventions. And we spent 45 minutes, and this was another show, another conversation, which I wanted to talk about. Dan Berry saying, did you ask any Alan Moore related questions? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And there's a reason for that. I think there's been enough conversation over the years about Brian Bolland in the past. And I'm certain there's only so much that anybody can take of just looking back at your glory years, thinking that everyone is just celebrating your work until you die. Brian Bolland is still an active force of nature. He is still creating and painting and creating artwork today. So I wanted to do something a little bit more contemporary. I want to talk about Brian Bolland 2022, what he's doing now, what comics is he reading. I was very interested by the answer to that. I might as well talk about it as it happens. He hasn't read any comics for like 20 years. So we asked why. What stopped him reading comics? What would start him reading comics again? Who is he kind of following nowadays? What is he doing? That was the panel. That's what I wanted to cover. So I wanted to cover him today. We had some great questions come out of the audience. So we had some people asking about, say, for example, Gaze into the Fist of Dread. Where did that come from? Where did he get the composition from? Did it come from the script, or did he come up with it from himself? Yeah, really, I think it was a really fun conversation. 45 minutes in the company of Brian Bolland. And not only that, I got the chance to get my book signed as well. So I got Killing Joke signed. And as it happens, John Higgins was also in attendance as well. So I got my Watchmen signed as well. I got my Killing Joke signed by him as well. All I need to do now is just get Alan Moore to sign those. Watchmen and Killing Joke. What are the odds? Very slim, I suspect. But there we go. Into the Blue, Mister. Thank you so much, man. Leonard, I'm by no means blowing smoke up your ass, but more than one occasion overheard people saying what a good job you did on the Bolland panel. I'm touched by that. I'm glad that people enjoyed it. Like I say, I did record it, and hopefully I'm going to get that up online relatively soon. San Diego Comic Fest stuff first, promise. So there we go. Right, Andrew Dickinson, this was the comment. It got me chuckling. Foo Fighters are post-Oasis, how dare you? This is what I meant. This is what I meant. People say that. You know, that whole, Paul Weller and the Jam. Yeah, everything past that's crap. You know, that kind of vibe. My music from all modern music shite. It kind of dismisses everything good with new stuff. I mean, it's like you talk about, or you've got that kind of mentality of dismissing modern comics because you were a fan of the 2000 ADs back in the day. You discount Twig, you discount Department of Truth, you discount Wicdiv, you discount Saga, all the new books or everything relatively new. You throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I wanted to find out if Brian Bolland looked a little bit further forward and the 77, whether it's just some kind of nostalgia fest. So there you go. Those were the panels that I took part in. Right. The actual show itself then. My God, that was so high level. It's a tiny room in a hotel, which is the Doubletree in Hilton. Very nice hotel. Fair play. You've got the panel room, which is small and bijou, nicely intimate. You've got an exhibition room, which was, I think, just slightly larger than this bedroom, which had some original artwork by some masters, including a page of the Trigon Empire, which I just nearly choked up over. Getting to see Don Butterworth's artwork there in front of me. Mind-blowing. stuff from TV21, stuff from old Eagle issues, original artwork, just absolutely stunning stuff. And then you had the the creators out on the floor as well, and we are talking 2000 AD legends, one and all. It was just incredible. Brian Bolland, John Higgins, John Wagner, Gary Leach, sorry, Glenn Fabry, not Gary Leach. Gary Leach has unfortunately passed away. Glenn Fabry, Boo Cook, good grief, David Roach, just name after name, and it was just across the board. It was just astonishing. Dan Cornwell, Paul Goodenough, with a presentation of the most important comic book in the world. Just amazing. Just absolutely amazing. Yeah, Dan Barry, if Leach was there, it would be a miracle. You know what? If Gary Leach was alive, this would be the show that he would absolutely want to be at, and he would be surrounded by friends and a bar that was close by. It would be ideal. And apparently the drinking on Saturday night went on for a epic period of time, to the point where but then again, I'd say it would be enough alcohol to stun a goat. But at the end of the day, these people have been doing cons and late night drinking sessions and catching up of that nature for decades. So they've got some form in the game. And it's just, that's the kind of vibe of the show it was. It was a real celebration. My concern about 2000 AD and its readership and its fandom is it's of a very certain age. It's my concern about comics generally, that it's steadily becoming a readership of my age, if not a little bit younger. I'm appreciating how old I am now. That we're not bringing in a new generation of readers. 2000 AD really desperately needs to get a new generation of readers before its current readership keel over and die. Whereas this show had a sliver of celebrating a next generation. It was very much a nostalgia fest. It was a lot of legacy creators and legacy fans, but it was a love fest for the pair of them. So I can't take it away from them, because they're fans and they were there when the books 2000 AD started, when Judge Dredd first rocked up and pulled out his lawgiver, drove up in his lawgiver. You know what I mean? I can't take it away from them. I personally want to see a next generation of 2000 AD down the line. Yeah, Glenn Fabry was a noon show up because of alcohol and chair-related accident. He's a hoot to chat to. Yeah, Glenn Fabry, I tried to get my Masters of Comic Art signed, and he wasn't at his table because, yeah, he was not in a good way because he took a bit of a spill. So he also had a bit of a bad back on Sunday. So there we go. But yeah, he was in pain on Sunday, but he had a great time by all accounts. So you can't knock him. So there we go. Lawless. If they asked me again, I would be more than happy to go back. Sue has turned around and said, even in the chats that we've had behind the scenes, she doesn't want the show to be too massive. She doesn't want it to grow too big and outgrow the hotel. So, for example, it's unlikely that she would invite the likes of Neil Gaiman or Dave Gibbons, because the lines would just be difficult to manage. She struggled with managing the lines, say, for example, for Brian Bolland. but I think Brian Bond is the kind of upper level of what she's after for the show. That way, everyone can meet everybody else. I personally would. I'm going to put this in the chat to her. I'd love her to invite the likes of Annie Parkhouse. Now, Annie Parkhouse is a name that not many people recognize, but anyone who's been reading 2000 AD for a while will recognize her work. She's a legendary letterer for the comic. Letterers, for me, set a stylistic tone for a book, and when you letter an entire comic week in, week out, you set a distinct tone for the likes of Strontium Dog, ABC Warriors, Judge Dredd, Slain. You know what I mean? I think that's the kind of guest that she'd be really good to have, and that's what I think she'll get at future Lawless shows. All in all, a lot of fun. I really enjoyed attending, and yeah, it's just an absolute blast. And would I go back? You damn Skippy. I'd go back. I'd love to. It was well worth checking out. Top 5 letterers go. I ain't gonna do that. Sorry, man. You're not sucking me into that one. I'll leave that well alone. Okay. Lawless, highly recommended. It's yeah, just a well worth checking out. It's getting down to Bristol, which was a bit of an awkward thing for me, but we got there and we attended it, so there we go. Well worth checking out. I'll try and get those panels up the best I can, and I got some more photos as well of. I'm certain that I got some photos of the actual. Hang on a second. Let's go back a bit. Let's see if we go this way. Let's see if I can find some. Oh, so here's a photo of the. There was a 2000 AD panel at the end of the day. I mean, this kind of gives you an idea of some of the age groups that we're talking about. Okay, but this is where we are. So I got a couple of photos of that, and that's the kind of panel room size that we're talking about. It's small and intimate, and it kind of just did the job. And then yeah, here we go. I took some photos of the. Oh, look at that. Of the little gallery room. There it is, Trigon Empire, looking amazing, and some TV21 artwork as well. Just yeah, not for sale, just for a display, and it was just incredible. Let's see what we've got there. There we go. Excellent. It really was just an amazing show, and well worth checking out. Okay, right. You kind of skipped past it there, so we're going to come back again, and we'll go through because we'll go to our next piece of news, because I got back on Sunday and absolutely collapsed. Went to bed because I had work the next morning, to wake up to this announced at 4 o'clock in the morning here in the UK. So what, 8 o'clock in the evening on Sunday after the close of Star Wars Celebration. Let's do it again next year. Star Wars Celebration returning to Europe 2023. Coming back to the Excel Centre in the Docklands of London over the weekend of the April 7th to the 10th. I thought it was a slightly unusual dates, but as it happens, it's a bank holiday weekend. And it's going to be basically running from the Friday to the Monday at the Excel Centre. Like I say, woke up on the Monday morning to this news that Star Wars Celebration returning to the UK. I then went, and like I said, this was about 1 o'clock. I think I went in for the afternoon. So I went. This was about 1 o'clock. Went in at 1. So I was about 8 o'clock. I was looking at hotels. Sold out. That is the map for the hotels for the Premier Inn chain over the course of that weekend, 7th to the 11th. And that speaks volumes of just how popular Star Wars Celebration is, and the fact that it's just going to absolutely take over London over that weekend. Anything that's happening over the course of that weekend is just going to have to deal with the fact that London is a no-go. You're just going to have to stay out of the way. Karma Savage, I need to pin the XL Centre on a map to see exactly where the convention centre is located in the UK. Well, tell you what, let me just go Google Maps. I'm not entirely sure what the what the legal requirement of me showing a map of London is for on a live stream, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, for example, oh, there's a map. Yes, there's a map there, but it's got sold out all over it. So let's change it up a bit. Let's take that off and let's show you what I mean. I'll show you where the XL Centre is. Okay, because it's actually a little bit out of the way. It's supposed to be. It was designed as an industrial port for London, and it is a little bit out of the way. So here we are. There's the Thames running through, of course, the famous landscape and indeed design of London. All well and good. Where is the XL? The XL is right here in the east of London. So you've got yourself the London City Airport there. You've got Greenwich, Isle of Dogs, Canary Wharf. Again, Canary Wharf, it's a banking and a business area. But right there, you've got the London City Airport and you've got the XL in London right there in the top. And it takes up that entire top section there. Yeah, it's Andrew Dickinson. It's about 12 miles east of central London. Andrew, I think it dropped about midnight as I got my hotel by 1 a.m. Very nice. Lucky to you. Every time someone mentions Star Wars Celebration now, all I can think of is concentrated cordial. Thanks to Leonard. Yes, that was my description, and I feel it still stands. The idea being that for any other convention, you can kind of move from fandom to fandom to fandom, and you can kind of find a respite wherever you go. However, if you have a concentrated cordial, say, for example, you drop that into your glass of water and you can drink away. It's nicely diluted and you have a nice, refreshing drink. You swig straight from the bottle. It's concentrated, it's thick, there's no dilution, and it's just intense. Imagine Star Wars Celebration necking an entire bottle of that for 4 days. It's a bit much, to the point where when Star Wars Celebration took part in 2016 here in the UK, it was the week before San Diego Comic Con, so I decided to attend there, attend Star Wars Celebration, and after about 3-4 hours, I had to step outside because it was a bit much. It's just Star Wars in your face all day and all the time. If you are a true Star Wars hardcore fan, then this is absolutely the show for you. And if you are a casual fan, it's going to be a lot of fun. If it's just it's a lot. It is a lot, but still, that's what it is. That's what it does. Danbury Star Wars Celebration 2022 have more than just Star Wars stuff at it. Really? Like what? Because I didn't see much. I was watching the live streams as much as I possibly could. So there we go. So where were those sold out hotels located? Now that is all the Premier Inn hotels. So let me just, I'll bring that back up again. That was the Premier Inn, which is a chain of hotels here in the UK. which I happen to like Premier Inn because they're nicely convenient. They do half decent breakfast and they just get on with the job, and they just sort of allow you to kind of stay there and do the job. Okay, it's still Lucasfilm, dude. And it wasn't much Indiana Jones, and it wasn't much Willow. You got a trailer and a picture. Pish. Anyway, but that's the chain, but it gives you a sense of the just the rate it sold out. As it happens, right around Docklands as well, pretty much all of the hotels in the immediate vicinity of the XL have sold out. So anything within vague walking distance. There are some hotels which are available a little bit further afield, but they ain't cheap. So in the immediate vicinity, it's a little bit like downtown San Diego in that regard. The rooms are there, but they're not cheap. However, here's the thing. You have the new Elizabeth line that's opened up in London, which is going to be a little more open, certainly when April rolls around. You've got 2 DLR stations right servicing the XL Centre in London, which means you can stay further into town, further into London, take it in as a tourist, enjoy the city, and then train in. And it doesn't take you much, and it's really nicely convenient. I wouldn't be too scared about staying further out away from the XL. If anything, especially if you are visiting from abroad and visiting Star Wars Celebration from outside the UK, because it's just going to be a way for you to take in all that the capital can provide you. But I think the reason why I showed this is it just shows the kind of level of fandom and intensity that Star Wars Celebration generates, and that's exactly what it's brought. I am intending to be there. I've got myself an Airbnb booked. It's the way that I've gone for attending Star Wars Celebration. I think I'm going to possibly try and apply for press, but I suspect I'll also be buying a ticket just in case as well. I've reached out to a couple of contacts at Repop and turned around and said, well, I'm in the UK. I'm here. I'm a warm body. I can vaguely hold my own if you need somebody to do anything. It's that I can help for the organization, perhaps. How can I help? We'll see what happens there. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? But the intention is it's in the UK. I mean, come on. It doesn't happen that often. And it's Star Wars Celebration. So if I'm going to get the chance, I'm going to go. So there we go. Karma Savage. I did see a Peacemaker cosplayer on the Star Wars Celebration exhibition floor. One of the best cosplay pictures I saw was of a police droid from THX 1138. And someone went up to him and went, I like that. Nice reference, is that? Not THX. And the guy turned around and said, thank you so much indeed for recognizing that. There's not that many George Lucas fans here. It's Star Wars Celebration, you'd think. But THX, obviously, a little bit more in the history books of George Lucas. So there we go. Dan Berry was there. I saw a few Star Trek cosplayers. Haha. Oh, you see, you got to love the old irony. And yeah, that's the kind of thing I'd do. Yeah, I'd probably go as Gandalf or something daft just to kind of wind people up. Do you know what I'd do? I'd do a Battle Beyond the Stars. I'd go as a Battle Beyond the Stars character just to see if anyone gets the reference. Or I don't know, something from Battlestar Galactica, because heaven knows the history between Star Wars and Battlestar, very fractured from back in the day. Number of lawsuits thrown backwards and forwards there. Either way, April the 7th, which is the Friday, through till April the 10th next year. If you're thinking of coming over to the UK, now's the time to check it out. Star Wars Celebration coming to Europe. Now, a lot of people on social media giving that some grief as well. So hang on, isn't the UK not part of Europe anymore? We're still part of Europe. Find a map. We're still part of Europe. We're just not part of the European Union anymore. So there we go. Most people who say they love Star Wars are talking about Kylo Ren. Is that a bad thing? Anyone who kind of comes into Star Wars in any way, there was a really good point that was brought up during the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones panel. There are people that came in via Attack of the Clones. There was the Lego Star Wars panel where the creators of Lego Star Wars said, we've got kids. Their first introduction to Star Wars is playing Lego Star Wars with their dad. Any way that you come into Star Wars, it doesn't really matter. People who grew up on the prequels, where Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and that was their first Star Wars movie. I actually envy them, because those people that grew up on the original trilogy, they had all of that baggage that they went into the prequel trilogies in. If you kind of go in to the Phantom Menace cold, just as a film, it's a pretty exciting ride. And most kids will get off on Jar Jar. They'll just take it as a kids movie with the space wizards and pew pew. What's wrong with that? Can't take it away from them, guys. Can't take it away from them. So there you go. Any way that you get into Star Wars, you're entering a galaxy far, far away. Whichever route you get there, fair play to you. If you got in via the holiday special, well, okay, you are going to come in a slightly tougher route. There you go. Solicitorous Meg, good taste and high standards is not baggage. All right, okay, I get that. But I like Attack of the Clones. I liked it a lot. I liked Return of the Revenge of the Sith. Phantom Menace has some really tough things to get your head around, but you can't knock the pod race. You can't knock Qui-Gon. You can't knock that lightsaber fight at the end with Darth Maul, which is one of the best saber fights of the entire series. Can't knock it. There we go. Regarding new generations of fans, be it 2000 AD or Star Wars, I always quote Captain Kirk in Star Trek 3. New minds, fresh ideas, be tolerant. That needs sticking on a t-shirt. Absolutely. There we go. But no, I get what you mean saying, Solicitor's Meg. It's, I mean, there's things wrong with Star Wars. There's things you can detract from. You couldn't pay me to watch The Rise of Skywalker ever again. But I've got my Oculus down there, and it's got the 3D versions of Last Jedi and Force Awakens on it. I'll watch Star Wars. I need to watch 77 again. Because, yes, my Star Wars of choice is the Harmy's despecialized version of New Hope, or Star Wars, as it was. But that's just me. You see, you take from the films what you want. And Star Wars Celebration, I think, allows you to do all of that, because there's space and there's locations within the entire convention and corners of it which allow you to get into cosplay, allow you to get into Lego Star Wars, to get into toy building, get into the prequels, into the originals, into the sequel trilogy. It's such a massive and encompassing event. It's well worth checking out. I think the only gatekeeping I think that the show possibly does, and I don't know where this comes from, is the pricing. I think it's safe to say Ewan McGregor walked away from Star Wars Celebration 2022 with several black bin liners full of cash. He banked huge this weekend. And I gather if he shows up in London this time round, he's going to do it again. I mean, okay, it's Ewan McGregor, but that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You've got to be well financed, I suspect, to properly take in a lot of Star Wars Celebration. But there we go. Solicitor Smeg, I'm just cranky because it's early Star Wars, had a few problems long before the prequels. Yeah. The only problems I've got with Star Wars, especially with the original trilogy, is the grief that people give the stormtroopers. I'm sorry, but I believe that the stormtroopers have been thrown under the bus. Okay, there's one that banged his head, but the idea was that the stormtroopers were the elite. Only stormtroopers could be that, blasters could be that precise. Their stormtroopers ride in single file, so they hide their numbers. They ain't stupid. They let the Millennium Falcon go so they could get to Yavin and find the base. They were thrown under the bus by Tarkin. That's my take on it. They missed deliberately. All right, that's my hot take. And also, yeah, the Ewoks. Fine, they were designed as cuddly teddy bears. I'm sorry, but they were goddamn cannibals. They were willing to eat the humans. They managed to take down the Empire in the final battle of Empire of oh good God. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit. The painkillers are kicking in now. You can't knock the Ewoks either. So look, it's pew pew and space wizards in a movie made for kids. Let's enjoy. Let's just enjoy it, and that's what we do at Star Wars Celebration. Mike Shields too. They were originally supposed to be Wookiees. Yes, I know about that. Yeah, I knew about that, but I also knew that about George Lucas wanting to keep a Wookiee battle for later, which he did, of course, in Attack of the Clones. Return of the Jedi, says Cedric. Absolutely right. Yeah, I'd have got there. I would have got there. But there we go. Let's talk about the convention itself. And Dan Berry brings up a very good point. Speaking of gatekeeping, there was no one checking badges at any of the external or internal entrances of a Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. What? That's insane. Also, for as many shout outs as the organizers did over the tannoys and over social media, apparently mask wearing was very slim and few on the ground. I appreciate that people are thinking that the new normal is that we're all vaxxed, we're all double vaxxed, we're all protecting each other, and we don't need to be masking anymore because we're all vaxxed. The numbers for COVID are still high. It's still an issue. Things that we take away from such mass gatherings can go back to other families and friends. It's still an issue, and I'm sorry, but at San Diego Comic Con, if you see me and you recognize me, it's going to be because of the flat cap and a mask. I'm going to be masked up. Simple as. Solicitor's Beg, space teddy bears cook down a well-equipped Empire squad to help wing things. It's also not cannibalism if you're eating a different species. That's just dinner. Spot on. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And not only that, but if they yeah, they were going to take on a Wookiee. Well, I don't know. They're going to take on a Wookiee as well, so it's cannibalism aligned. So yeah, they were going to have to shave him first before they stuck him in the stew. Otherwise, they'd get hair in the teeth. All right, we're going off grid here. We're going off grid. Dan Berry, I was walking around Star Wars Celebration. Positive chances. I was positive. Chances are I tested negative on Wednesday, but was positive on Saturday. Whoa. Get well soon, mate. Hopefully your symptoms aren't too severe. Let us know how you're doing. I didn't. Well, yeah. What was your own take on that then? If you you tested negative on Wednesday, but you were positive on Saturday, going back into the show, did you mask up? What was your personal thoughts on doing that? Would you do that, say, for example, at San Diego, if you tested positive in the middle of the week end at San Diego Comic Con, would you go in? If I did, I would be at home. I'd be back in the condo and I'd be staying well away, because it's not for me that I mask up. I mask up for everybody else. That's what you mask up for. But there you go. Mike Shields, got a jet. Thanks for your time. Don't worry, we're going to wrap up the show in a second anyway. Let's have a look at this. Carmen Savage, no one enforced mask wearing. I had no idea I was supposed to be wearing a mask. I saw no signage. Whoa, okay. Dan Berry, I'm masked constantly. Dan Berry, I wasn't there on Saturday. There you go. This is being responsible. Good man, good man, good man. Delicious Meg, people eat monkeys, so cannibalism adjacent is just fine, I guess. And Camel Savage, I only wore one during my commute from LA to Anaheim and in my small friends group when we were standing around near each other. You see, this is what it is. It's about being responsible and being a responsible member of a community and of a friendship. I think that's all you really can ask for each other, really, isn't it? But by all accounts, they were announcing it at the beginning of panels, or announcing it suddenly at the beginning of the day. They were announcing it on social media as well, and it was part of the agreement that you had to be wearing a mask. And really, you would have been told that on the way in. But as Dan says, no one was checking badges going in. That is bizarre to me. How odd. Let's see how it gets run when San Diego Comic Con, when Star Wars Celebration comes to London, XL Centre, April 7th, April 10th next year. So there we go. Right, that's our show. Thank you very much indeed for watching for today. We are going to be having a show on Sunday, and a bunch of other shows that took place the weekend just gone. At the XL was MCM Comic Con. Now, I've been giving a bit of grief to MCM Comic Con over the weeks leading up to this weekend, talking about the lack of pop culture guests, the fact that pop culture guests dropped out. Like I say, I thought there were a couple of half-decent names that perhaps bolstered the lineup leading up to MCM Comic Con in London, at which point they dropped out like 4 days prior to the actual show. So what was the appeal? As it happens, it was anime and comics and comic art. The Comics Village section of Reed Pop's and MCM's Comic-Con in London at the XL was apparently top-notch. Mark Serby was there. He's going to be coming on the show on Sunday. He's going to talk about MCM Comic-Con in London, which he attended this weekend just gone. He's going to talk to us about what he experienced, what he got to while he was there. Hopefully, we're going to have our guests as well. So we're going to kind of dive into that. But do join us for the show. It's going to return to normal, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. That's this Sunday. Please do join us for that. Let's have a look. Oh, Into the Blue Mister. Quick breaking news. Yeah, Howard Chaykin has been dropped from Tripwire, held at Bristol due to budget cuts by the organisers. Yes. I'm going to announce I actually knew about this a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to wait for Joel to make the announcement for real. It's something I've been trying to encourage Joel for a while. It's his first con. It's the first year for Tripwire at Bristol. Bristol Presents Comic Con. And you go all in like that with a guest like Howard Chaykin, that's going to hit your funds huge, especially when you're facing a whole bunch of other challenges as well of creating a new con out of the blue. I think this is probably a good thing to do because it allows him now to have a bit more finance and a bit of pressure released to support some other guests that he's going on. Still having Jimmy Palmiotti coming over, still having Amanda Connor, still having Jorge Fornes coming over. It's still going to shape up to be a very nice show indeed, even without Howard Chaykin, which is a shame because I would have liked Howard Chaykin involved. But what can you do? The next time. It's like I know that Joel is friends with Bill Sienkiewicz. You wanted to get Bill Sienkiewicz over. Can you imagine what that could have done to the finances? That would have really hurt. The Doubletree at Bristol is not the biggest hotel in the world. Start small. Focus on what you've got. I think it's going to do. So let's just make people drop out all the time. There will always be stuff to do. Absolutely right. I think the con's still going to be an appeal. I think it's going to be worthwhile going. I'm still going to be showing up. I'm still going to talk to who I talk to. Let's see what Joel does with it. And let's see what Joel and Andrew do with it. At the end of the day, this is a guest which has dropped out. And it's a shame. But there's still some interest there. There's still appeal. And I will personally still be up for attending Tripwire Presents Bristol Comic Con. If anything, because I'll support a comics-led convention till the cows come home. Speaking of which, something that we're also going to be talking about this Sunday coming is a bit of a preview for a show that I'm going to be attending in about 3 weeks' time, which is Comicsalopia in Shrewsbury. This is the return of this show. The idea for the organizers was it was going to be biannually, but due to COVID, that got put back left, right, and center. So now this is the second one of Comicsalopia, organized by Shane Chebsey, the guy who puts together the ICE International Comic Expo shows in Birmingham and across the UK. Comicsalopia is very much a festival-style convention taking place in various locations around Shrewsbury, and he's got himself quite the guest list. We'll talk about that on the show, and I'm looking forward, along with Ollie McNamee, to be hosting a number of panels at that show. So we'll do a bit of a preview of Comicsalopia on Sunday. So we're going to be talking MCM Comic Con, Comicsalopia, and we're going to be doing some more Road to San Diego as well, as we get ourselves prepared for San Diego Comic Con 2022. Because as you know, and like I say, it's 50 days, 60 days ago, 50 days ago. So yeah, the clock's starting to tick nicely on this one. 7 weeks. As of tomorrow, we can turn around and say San Diego Comic Con is next month. Exciting stuff. Hopefully in the next week or so, we'll also find out about panels as well, which I've also submitted. So it's all starting to build up nicely. Hopefully you can join us for another Talkin Con, a cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego on Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. And I will see you with Mark Serby this weekend. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.